Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Big Brother Brothers, the ultimate unofficial podcast. I'm your Big Brother obsessed host, Fox Van Allen, and joining me today is my long-haired, salsa dancing, no shirt on ever because he's ripped, ladies man, Mr. Lance Cartelli. Hello, Lance.
Hey, Fox. Sorry for wearing a shirt. I just I thought the audience is my OnlyFans, so this is OnlyFans only.
It's a new mature look for you. Are you also an ugly coach? Or
no, I'm a pretty coach. I'm too pretty to coach, actually.
I heard that as ugly like 4 or 5 times, but she's just saying the name of her town. That's all that is. It's just a town in Michigan. I thought we were just calling Victor ugly over and over again.
Yeah.
Except for Cody, because Cody says he's an absolute stud.
Cody had a huge man crush on him. That was my big takeaway from that whole thing.
I actually have quite the man crush on Big Brother 18 Victor as well. There's been he's changed a little bit since teaming up with Nicole there. He's in the button down shirts. Now he wears shirts. What a change.
Yeah. Has anybody done the meme how it started and how it's going with him? Because it would not be a good look.
See, there, Lance, you're right. You got the finger on the pulse of meme culture right here.
You culture, baby.
You should give up this and just make memes all day long.
That's what I do on the weekends.
All right. Well, we won't hold you too long from your meme making, but we got a lot of Big Brother to talk about here, Lance, because this is. I want to say this is a very interesting week. There is a lot going on this week, and we're going to talk about it all. We're going to talk about the horrors of Nicole's week as HOH and whether she can win the game moving forward. We're going to talk about Enzo's scaredy cat gameplay and figure out what the heck this guy's doing. And we're going to talk about Christmas's plan to murder Cody's game. Also, we're going to spoil the final 4 HOH. Talk about how the season's going to turn out. And of course, discuss BB Comics, which is a perennial favorite. But first, Lance, I want to talk, let's focus on Nicole a little bit, because this is a very, very big week for Nicole. Nicole, who has won absolutely nothing all season long. All of a sudden, this pumpkin patch, HOH, whatever seesaw thing, Nicole pulls out a win. And it is a great time for her to win. But first of all, what do you think of this? What do you think of this competition here, Lance?
Looked tough, looked tiring, especially after seeing everybody. I actually thought it was really entertaining. Like the Sunday episode, minute for minute was probably the best, most entertaining episode this season, which, not a huge bar to cross, but it was legit entertaining. They had the hijinks, they had like the serious gameplay and stuff. But, I wish they wouldn't tip you off so much. It's like when you have like Cody like building it up like, oh, Christmas needs one more and she's got this, and then you go to commercial, it's like obviously she's not going to win this and everything. It had good drama. It was fun. I really appreciated it. Nicole doing the oh my god to herself and like talking or like coaching herself through it. It was a fun competition.
Yeah, hallelujah, holy crap! It was a lot of fun seeing Nicole actually win something here because it's a slightly different Nicole than we've seen all week long. It's a Nicole with some actual power and some agency in the game, which is fun to see because she is such a good game player and she does finally get a chance to make some moves. I really love the edit that Enzo got in this HOH, where even when we're down to like it's a 3-way race, Memphis has 23. Christmas has 23, and then we just go over to Enzo and he's got like 2, and then they're all.
It was a good week for editors too, because Memphis, not to get too ahead of ourselves, Memphis just got the arrogant guy from like Survivor kind of edits, like, oh, I'm totally gonna make it, and I'll be fine and stuff. Yeah. But going back to Nicole, I really loved when she won. She's so excited, she's pumped up, she apologizes, and then hits everybody with the Ric Flair woo. Even after apologizing, it was great.
And then she does the fist on this one, but and then she does the fist pump when she's done, and she hurts herself with the fist.
She hurt herself like multiple times doing the Tiger Woods fist pump and everything.
Editors had a field day or a field week really with Christmas and Nicole and Enzo, and Cody is probably the only person who doesn't give you an awful lot to work with there, just because he's so cool. But we do get a lot from the other people. Boy, would this week have turned out different if Christmas had pulled it through, or if Memphis had pulled it through, because obviously Memphis goes home here.
Yeah.
But obviously if Christmas wins here, she's going to put Nicole and Cody on the block. And if Nicole wins the veto here, it's going to wind up presumably with Enzo next to Cody. And then Cody goes home. Yeah, Cody would have gone home if Christmas pulls it out here. And with Memphis, obviously, if Memphis isn't on the block, I think Nicole is in a lot of trouble there. So it was a must win for Nicole, and she pulls it out. And it's really great to see because it keeps the week interesting. It's something I wasn't expecting to happen. Janelle had said Nicole's going to roll out of bed on week 9 and win an HOH. And it turned out it was week 10. But Nicole rolled out of bed.
Enough.
Good old sloppy. She's here to play.
Yeah. And yeah, it was just Christmas was like when she was down to that last one, and just to lose one is so heartbreaking. Obviously, you could tell from her reaction. But she went at that last part so hard. It's like, just be patient. Like, you have this lead. Be patient, kind of like what Nicole was doing. And, that patient isn't really how I describe Christmas. So.
Yeah, it is the strategy here. I think is patience, taking it slow, because we're 18 minutes in according to the lower third on the screen, and Nicole has 3 in her thing. And so it is you just got to take your time with it, and I think you got to do the big balls first, and then you put the tiny ones in between the big ones. Try to keep them from rolling off, but
that makes sense.
Yeah,
but it was. I mean, there was a couple people. Memphis had like one just fall off too. That's so disheartening.
Yeah.
But even when that happens, like you said, Nicole was at 3 and she came back. So you just gotta keep your composure, which Christmas did not do.
Right. Well, Enzo didn't either. Enzo kind of gave up as well.
Well, Enzo was bad.
Even though you were talking about the editors having a field week with Enzo. Let's talk about that for a moment here, because I feel like it only gets started with the HOH competition. We get in that Sunday episode, we get not one but 2 instances of Christmas walking in on Enzo using the bathroom, which we get that fun sitcom Christmas music behind it. A lot of Christmas turning out to be a lot more fun with editing than she otherwise would be.
Who does she think she is, though? You obviously knock, or like you said, make an animal noise. You do something. She's just going straight. It makes absolutely no sense.
Okay, I hear you there, but I'm going to say I got to put the blame on Enzo here, because that door clearly has a lock. You just locked the damn door. She's not going to walk in if you lock the door.
That's fair.
It's happened once. If it happened like the first time, that's fine. Like, you forget it happened once, but once it happens, it should be in the back of your mind. Oh, remember that time she walked in on me? I should lock the door. Doesn't even occur to him at all.
And maybe he wants it to happen.
Maybe.
And then I also noticed that Cody wears a glove in the shower. I thought that was interesting.
Do we know what the glove is for?
I think it's for washing. I think it's for the suds and everything. Maybe, each one has, instead of, the whatever thing, they might have the glove instead. But I thought that was a little weird.
It's the suds mitt.
Yeah, or maybe it's like a coronavirus thing. Who knows?
It could also be a reaction to what happened in the showers last season on Big Brother. You don't want to touch anything in there, so that could also be it.
That's fair. There's not enough bleach.
Yeah. So and that's not even the half of it, because the other Enzo segments we get a segment about Enzo and the tea kettles whistling. We get a segment with him and Mulan. Mulan is apparently the breakout star of the season, the inflatable cow. And Enzo has Lance a foot stalker, which I think is the weirdest Enzo segment of the week.
It's probably the weirdest thing I've seen on Big Brother.
Any opinions on Enzo's feet, Lance?
I've never been a guy, so all feet are gross. So especially his gross feet.
Those are not good. Those are not good looking feet.
But the one thing I'll take from it is that he appreciates. He's like, it's weird, it's kind of psycho and stuff, but it is an adorable way to connect. Good for him. That he has somebody who loves his feet and everything. Everyone needs to find a person who loves their feet.
Fans come in all shapes and sizes, I guess, with all sorts of preferences as to.
Yeah, but I could go without any more foot segments the rest of the way.
I think you and me both. Yeah, have you ever had a foot stalker, Lance? Anyone ever?
I got pretty gross feet too, so.
Yeah. I had a foot stalker once.
I have had a stalker though.
Oh,
But
regular stalker.
We can save that for the stalker podcast.
Okay, great. Well, I guess we both had stalkers before, and apparently it's a lot more common than we all thought. All right, moving on. Moving on. Let's talk about Nicole's nominations here. They are not a big surprise, obviously, because Memphis has put her on the block before, and Christmas was one of those 2 votes to get her out the door. So, Enzo and Cody have not done anything to harm Nicole here in the game, so makes total sense. But Christmas is actually coming out to play this week, and she spends a good chunk of time trying to push his Cody backdoor plan. Now, obviously, it's not going to work. Nicole is really close to Cody. We know that a lot better than Christmas does. They've apparently done a pretty good job of keeping that secret in the house. But I really like the Christmas plan here, because she's got all sorts of different ways that this could happen. Where it would be a great week to backdoor Cody if any of the people she was talking to were into it.
Yeah, I even wrote down in my notes, like, this is a great plan for Christmas. She's actually really convincing. Mm-hmm. And it makes a ton of sense, but everyone else is just way too, caught up in the Cody, atmosphere and everything. Yeah. That it doesn't work. But I thought it made a lot of sense. And, I never really believed it was going to happen, but it would least, you got it, shoot or shoot. So Good for her. And, you kind of wish it would happen. You might have a little outcome bias depending on who wins this and stuff. But they even said in the jury segment, it's kind of crazy that he hasn't even hit the block yet. And everyone knows that he's dominating the game. So I would not have blamed her one bit for doing that. But I totally get why she didn't as well.
Yeah. And one of the interesting things about this, too, is that apparently this Christmas trying to target Cody actually brings her and Nicole an awful lot closer together. Nicole is very closely allied with Cody, but after this week, we're at the final 4. And there are only 2 shots left to be taken here. And
everyone knows that Cody, if he gets to the end, he wins. That's it.
That's very interesting, too. That's kind of the Cody reveal of this week, is that I'm actually a little bit surprised that Cody is in as much trouble as he is at this point. We have a situation where Christmas is ready to take the shot now. It looks like Nicole's ready maybe to do it next week. Memphis is maybe ready to do it next week. There are a lot of people here who are interested in taking Cody out. Everybody but Enzo basically has a interest in getting Cody out of the game. So we'll see how that goes for Enzo.
And honestly, depending how it goes, it might actually be the right play for Enzo, because we might be hitting doomsday scenario as we get towards the spoilers and everything.
Enzo said it last week. He's got coverage. He was very worried about this week and next week, but just based on how the votes and based on who wins HOH, he is looking good. He's looking good to win maybe second place. Yeah, he's looking good. Like, he's looking good to make it to the end.
But we're also, it's looking good for a Darkest Timeline ending as well.
I guess that depends on, and we'll talk about that, because I'm very curious to find out what you think the Darkest Timeline is, because I think there are a couple of contenders for that.
That makes sense for the season.
Yeah. What did you now? Speaking of the noms, what did you think about Memphis's deal that he tries offering Nicole here to stay off the block?
It's a terrible deal. It doesn't make any sense. So.
Is it even a deal?
It's not even a deal. Like, it's the quintessential Memphis deal. And so the one thing I will say for this week is you really see Nicole, how good of a game player she is and how she just understands it. And I thought what was really cool is she kind of narrates it to the camera by herself and everything, what she's thinking. And you can tell that she's a good game player. And when she said it's a terrible deal, I'm not doing that. And then Memphis is like, well, that deal's null and void. It's like, who cares? Obviously it is.
Yeah, obviously. Nicole is playing a good game, because everybody rats on Christmas's plan to backdoor Cody. Enzo does it later in the week. Memphis does it a little bit too late.
And after Memphis should have done that way before. Himself. Yeah, yes. Memphis should have done that way before, but I thought it was smart for him to bring that up and kind of throw her under the bus and everything. But way too late. Yeah.
And one of the cutest moments of this week, I guess the only person who doesn't spoil this surprise is Cody, because he doesn't know about it until Nicole tells him. And then Nicole tells him, your big brother life is in my hands. And she drops the remote. That was pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
and it was nice to see her turn the tables on Cody here, because Cody has had his run of the game several times, including Danny's week as HOH, when Cody shouldn't have had as much influence as he did. And she's made some really bad game moves just to make Cody happy. So it's good that she's kind of twisting Cody's arm here a little bit to let her make a good game move that may not be the best for him. Although Cody does seem to be on board that Memphis should go here. What do you think about that, Lance? What do you think about? So it seems like Cody is on Memphis pretty strongly once it's suggested here. But would Cody be better getting rid of Christmas here?
No, I think because, in our last episode when we talked about combination of who wins in the final two and everything, we had Memphis as the second leader. So I think anytime you can get rid of your biggest competition, you do it. Christmas, while she is pretty good at competitions, I don't know if Comp Beast is the right way to describe her. She's obviously physical and everything, but I don't know about Comp Beast. She's not gonna. The only person she wins against is Nicole, so you keep that person around. Yeah. So I am on board with that decision.
Yeah, Christmas is good at competitions, but if you got to call anyone the Comp Beast, you got to say Memphis is. He's won 3 HOHs. He is. I mean, Cody as well, but Cody's not. Cody's not in the conversation here for some reason. Yeah, he's very well set up.
Christmas doesn't have that clutch gene, like when everything's up against her, it's bad. Like you obviously saw the ball goes down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mrs. Claus. All right, so Lance, we got a lot more to talk about here because I want to talk about BB Comics. There's a lot of pettiness going on in BB Comics this year, and we're going to talk about all the pettiness right after this. Okay, Lance, so we are back, and let's talk about something that I know a lot of people look forward to all year long, and it's BB Comics, the competition here where each and every house guest gets their own comic book cover, and there is a lot of saltiness over some of these covers, especially predictably, King Kaser. King Kaser gets noticed. Cody does not like King Kaser. And unsurprisingly, Nicole does not like the bombshell that Janelle is.
The Nicole eye roll, like it hurt my head watching her do the eye roll. It wasn't even like a real eye roll. It was a side roll,
Did they ask her to do an eye roll and she just couldn't get it done?
Yeah, I don't know what that was. I thought she had like a stroke or something.
It does not look natural. Whatever weird. She is doing is not a natural look.
But hot take. I agree with Cody. What is Kaser the king of? He's not. I mean, we like him. He's a fan favorite, but like, he hasn't even made jury. He's not the king of anything.
King of going home before jury. That's what Cody says. They do kind of come to the conclusion that maybe it has something to do with this night moves competition that Kaser reveals later in the week.
Yeah,
I don't know that that's the case. I just think that it's that we all like Kaser and we don't like them.
And alliteration. Everyone loves alliteration.
Yeah. And anything that makes the people left in the game a little bit salty, it's like those tears are delicious. We want them.
Absolutely.
So those are some interesting. A few more that were obviously Nicole here gets hit with the serial killer comic book cover.
That was great.
One of my favorite comments of the week came from Reddit, and someone noticed and compared all of Nicole's BB Comics, because she's now been in 3 of them, all of her comic book covers. And the comment was, Nicole's personality type is costume. Each and every one was just it's the germatard, and it's the safety cones, and now it's sloppies.
I think she knows that too, because she willingly took, that terrible sloppies thing in the competition. So she even said, like, I need to do it. So I think she knows that's her brand. So
she did embrace it.
You don't have much else other than like ruining Victor, right?
Oh, poor Victor. He's still a stud though.
He was terrible on the challenge.
I really liked Nicole's pep talk that she gave herself. Breathe. Don't get mad when you see your cover, because you know it's going to be bad. Breathe. She knew it was coming. She knew
her talking to herself is a highlight. Her talking to herself is a big highlight.
Yeah. It's a fantastic editing week for Nicole as well. And we get one other one that I wanted to call out, just because it's fun here. The regulator, Danny's cover. We got a Lawan cameo this week. That's like, how about that?
Yeah, it just reminded me of the song. I was like, Mount Up, and I was like, that's actually a pretty good name for for a comic and everything.
Yeah.
So
It's an interesting if you compare the regulators versus this current season's incredible. I mean, aside from Enzo winning HOH, basically the 6-person alliance this season has won everything. Like they are like 10 for 11. It's absolutely incredible, and it's hard to say that, like, of course they're getting what they want. They win everything. But the regulators is the exact opposite. They are perhaps the worst alliance in Big Brother history in the fact that they all go out one after another. All 4 people. Brandon's in the middle. Rachel's man is in the middle there, but he gets back in the game, so technically he is not. Anyway, so Nicole finishes this competition with a really fast time. It's 11 minutes and 21 seconds. That's just slower than Nicole Anthony's time last season. Just about 30 seconds. Nicole's time last season was 10 minutes, 58 seconds. She's the podmaster, Lance.
That should have been ours.
Would you be on Nicole's podcast?
I mean, I'd be on any podcast if they asked me, but
would Enzo be on our podcast?
Yeah, but he wouldn't listen.
He'd listen to the episode he was on. I don't even know if he'd listen to the episode he was on. And he's only coming on our podcast if he's required by his contracts too. So hey, CBS, let's get that going.
I totally felt that. I only listen to podcasts that I'm on anyways. So.
So yeah, it's a good motivator, right? Get to hear your own voice. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Everyone hates hearing their own voice. I love hearing my voice.
Yeah. So speaking of the Podmaster, because we are a podcasting family here. I wanted to talk a little bit about the top 3 live feed events from this week, because there is another podcasting reference in these big live feed moments. And one of it's right before Memphis goes out of the house. He's talking with Christmas, and apparently a lot of people are up in arms that Memphis was joking about Nicole's podcast and how Memphis will never be on Nicole's podcast. Apparently got a lot of people salty. He's not I wouldn't imagine he would be though. Like it's rude, but why would
I can't see Nicole even inviting him on. It's like, I'm not going to your party that I wasn't invited to. Who cares, you know? Memphis probably isn't coming on this podcast either. So.
He got her out of the game. Like, what's the... Yeah. Why would you...
I mean, why would she want to have somebody who is not a good person on your podcast? Like, I don't understand that.
No. I mean, we've tried to get some not so great people on our podcast too.
I mean...
That's just the cost of doing business in the Big Brother world.
If you listen to our, season finale of interviewing all the house guests from last season, then you are well aware that we interviewed terrible people.
I mean, we talked to them all. So
hey, we're professional. That's all that matters.
Yeah, the fan favorites and the fan not so favorites, and the people who are so canceled we don't even want to mention their names again. So the second biggest live feed a moment of the week. Would be Nicole's HOH room. So we got the Who Wants to See Our HOH room segment this week, which was kind of exciting because I saw on the live feeds how weirdly salty Nicole was about her HOH basket and her letter from Victor. Apparently, she was very upset with what Victor had written because Victor did not specifically mention that he was proud of her. So Nicole immediately assumes that means he's not proud of her. And also that he was sending her good vibes, to which she replied, "Why do I need good vibes? Does everyone hate me?" Which is, by the way, a good read. But it's like her reaction to this letter is just a mess. Like I feel bad for Victor. I feel a little bit bad for Victor here.
I think that's the main takeaway from everything. And I think Cody feels bad too. But it feels like living with her is just like walking on landmines. Like you could say something and not even mean it, and it just blows up. You lose your leg and stuff. So
he is handsome though. She does say he's handsome.
He is handsome. But I don't know, sending lots of love. And then he ended it with like, love you. So I didn't think it was that big of a deal. Sending good vibes. I mean, that just sounds like something that Victor would say. So
yeah.
I mean, if it makes her life a little bit worse, then sure, it's great.
Oh, poor Nicole. So I guess when Victor didn't say he's proud, one of my favorite Twitter responses to that was from James Ryan from Big Brother 6, and he says, "I too have learned not to lie to my wife." Burn.
Yeah. Way to go, James.
Yeah.
He's tweeted at us. He's not a big fan of us.
Is that right? Oh, I didn't know he did that.
Back in the day.
Oh my goodness.
Like 2 or 3 years ago. I think.
It's good. Yeah, it's good. That's good. That's a good callback. Yeah. Anyway.
Come on the pod, James.
A lot of people out there don't like us. Haven't you read our feedback, Lance?
I heard.
But we're not gonna stop. We don't let the haters stop us. All right. So let's keep moving forward here, Lance. We started talking a little bit about it, but I want to get deeper into it. The jury segment, or really the double jury segment, which tells you an awful lot about this week, that we get 2 jury segments. One thing that I thought was interesting is that Kevin repeats what he said last week, but instead of, okay, Tyler, I see you, this week it's, okay, Cody, I see you. Curious if he's going to see Nicole next week.
I thought it was really funny that even in the jury house, Kevin has no idea what's going on. Absolutely no clue. It's so funny.
He's slowly getting a picture, though. He's slowly getting the picture. Eventually, Jess figured it out last year. So eventually Kevin's going to get it. There were a lot of interesting moments here. I thought Tyler and Devon talking, that was a segment I was really waiting for. Glad to see it. Glad to see there's no
honestly, like,
resentment there.
Just, she doesn't need it, but more props today for, asking about it, because that's something that we've wanted to know, and, interviewers have asked him about, and he declined to, comment on that. So for her to put the onus on him, and, we even said it before when we asked, like, is this a game player? Is it real? It felt real, and it felt real still. So, that's just a good moment that we needed to see. Yeah,
it's one of those, Tyler has, good intentions, doesn't think things through, doesn't realize how unworkable the plan is before he pitches it to the wrong people first, to get that rush of dopamine to his head. And then once he gets the rush, it all falls apart. But it's glad to see him making amends there, and glad to see that that's not, I'm glad that this is not going to be, it looks like, a nasty season when all is done. There are a lot of seasons of Big Brother where people don't want to talk to each other after it's finished. But I don't think we're going to wind up like that. Everyone in this jury seems to be pretty good spirits.
I think that's the one advantage. Like, this hasn't been a great season, obviously, with All-Stars and everything, but that's the one advantage of playing with All-Stars, is a lot of these people are cutthroat or have been, and they understand it's a game. Like Memphis, for how bad he is, like, I really liked how it's like, hey, this is the game. This is just how I'm going to play it, or this is how, like, don't take it personally, in the same way. So I'm all about that. Anybody who gets, unless it's like a very personal thing, like, I guess, Christmas and stuff. But other than that, I'm totally fine with this.
What did you think about the videos from home? I thought this was interesting that the jury gets the messages from home and not the people who are in the game. What do you think about that, Lance?
I thought it was, taking another page out of Survivor's book, how Winners at War, they did that even for the eliminated people. But yeah, it is a little interesting that they didn't do it for the people still left in the game. Mm-hmm. But, it's just one of those things where they try to get you emotional and try to get the tears flowing and everything. So.
Yeah, I do have a theory about that, but I do want to talk about the tears because there are a lot of tears here. So obviously Devon and her daughter, her daughter,
great moment.
Adorable.
Great moment.
Tyler, I think
Instantly.
he cries more than Devon over Angela. But all of Hilton Head's rooting for him.
Yeah.
It's just Tyler. That's Tyler. It's adorable how much he cares for her.
And how nice was I'm assuming their backyard. That looked lovely.
A lot nicer than my backyard, man. Let me tell you that. That was good. Also thought it was great to see Dominic again, for Danny.
Dom's aged pretty well.
Also a total stud. Just to bring that out. So my theory is this is such an unlikable Final Five that Big Brother spent so much time this week giving people who weren't in the game cameos. I counted 9. I counted 9 different cameos from people not in this game. So obviously we got Kaser, who shows up at this HOH competition, right? We got Angela here. We got Dominic here. We got Victor, obviously, a reference to Victor earlier in that. Christmas brings up a reference to Josh. So we get a clip of Josh and Paul together in the Big Brother 19 house. And then we get the regulators, the comic here, where we got Cassie, Keith, Lawan. So we got like 9 people here who aren't even in the game. And I would rather watch this. That sounds like a good final 9 to me. I'd watch that final 9.
Well, that was kind of my one big takeaway from, I know there's fewer people now, so they have to kind of rely on like funny stuff and like the hijinks and everything. But that's what felt like shockingly missing from this entire season, is they didn't have a lot of the fun stuff. And that's where a lot of the Big Brother entertainment, for how unlikable these people are, you got to humanize them a little bit. And we didn't really get that other than like Enzo. And even then it was like, even then it's kind of rare. He's like the one guy they show with those things. And, when I was rewatching Big Brother 7, the one thing I noticed is they focused so much on that, probably because, Chilltown and those guys just were a lot more fun. This is a lot more business-like and everything. But I do think, for as much as we're praising the editors and producers and stuff, that was a big miss for them. I think they could have made this season more fun.
Yeah, they've been. You mentioned Enzo. Obviously, they're going to town on Enzo. Enzo is super fun to do this with. Christmas is getting some very funny edits as well. Although that's the magic of editing. She is not as fun in real life as you get as the edits when you can put some jingle bells behind her. But
Yeah, I mean, I won't miss every time someone says Christmas, the jingle. Like when she's actually gone, I won't miss that at all.
Yeah. Well, we'll always have Enzo. We'll always have Enzo walking in on someone because he's not going anywhere.
Anyway, he doesn't use a lock.
Yeah. Let's talk about this vote. Cause I just mentioned Enzo here, and the only interesting thing about this vote, aside from the fact that it could switch between Christmas or Memphis here, and that there are plenty of reasons to do it both ways, but Enzo comes up with a plan to split the vote 1-1. Where he's going to vote to evict Christmas so that Nicole has to get some blood on her hands. First of all, it doesn't go through with the plan, obviously, but what do you think about it, Lance? Is this a good plan, or is this, what do you think?
I don't hate it. Like anytime you have to make her make a decision and put some blood on her hands, but it also gives her just another notch on the resume. Like, hey, I did this, I did that and stuff. It does kind of feel like Enzo's like thinking about his end game. And so when he has to make his case, he's like, hey, I forced her to do this and stuff. Because you even heard in the jury segment, like a lot of people think he's just riding coattails right now, which makes me reconsider a little bit. Like Nicole might have jumped Enzo just because that, like I mentioned in previous podcasts, like having a chance to be a 2-time winner will play into some of the jury's minds and everything. So I think that's a big part of it. But Enzo really has just played a scared game. Yeah, scaredy cat game.
Absolutely. Enzo likes to talk big in the diary room, but then when it comes time to vote, he's a kitten, and nothing really happens here. Although I will say that most of the Enzo plans, the ideas that he comes up with, are bad ones. I do not like this 1-1 plan, and I think that really gets borne out when you see the exit interview with Memphis, where Memphis is saying, this isn't Nicole's move. This is Cody and Enzo deciding to get rid of him. Like, Nicole just put him on the block. So I think if Nicole actually has to make the decision here, then Nicole gets more credit from Memphis. I don't think Memphis is ever going to vote for Nicole to win this game. Maybe he would have if she had actually been the person to get him out. Probably not. But I think it's better for Enzo's game here. If this is really only playing for one jury vote here, I don't think it's going to win him anymore. That's my thought. It just,
and I also thought that Memphis was actually pretty smart towards the end, where he's like laying the hints, like, hey, Nicole's gonna win if she makes it to the end and everything. So I thought that was pretty savvy of him. But it seems just like Memphis just kind of coasted and like thought he had it, and then once he realized he didn't, it's like, oh, it's too late.
Memphis was so incredibly cocky this week. It's surprising. So this is really our first blind side of the season, unless you count when Cody was blindsided by that 3-2 vote, because we get to see his reaction to it every episode to start off.
Yeah, I don't even think that counts though.
Not really. No, I think, but this one does. This one for sure does, because Memphis does not see it coming. He does not give off that super like shocked look, but he does not see it coming, and that's good. That's entertaining.
Yeah, we needed more of that. That's what, that's where Survivor makes its money, is those blind sides and everything. But one thing that really struck me, and I thought it was some funny irony, is that Memphis's Wise Guys Alliance, which he thought would protect him, ended up being his downfall, which is really great.
It really did, because Memphis just had so much going on, and a lot of the stuff that he had going on did not involve Cody. And why wouldn't Cody want to keep around Enzo? Why wouldn't Cody want to keep around Nicole? These are Cody's people. And Christmas is there because everyone can beat Christmas in the end. Yep. If Cody is the person, if Christmas accurately points out that Cody's the person who's going to beat everyone, but she doesn't point out that Christmas is the person that everyone can beat. So you should carry her along to the final.
Absolutely.
That's the other half of that sales pitch. But probably not one that's going on in Christmas's head, because I don't think Christmas thinks her position is that bad. So overall here, Lance, just to wrap up the week, how do you think Nicole's week as HOH went?
I thought it went pretty well. Like, it elevated her in my mind as a game player and everything. And she somewhat set herself up. And like I said, with this happening, we are very close to a Nicole Christmas final too, which is where Nicole wins. Yeah. So, it's not the perfect week where maybe you get rid of Cody with almost no blood on your hands kind of thing, but you get rid of the second contender. So anytime you do that, anytime you get rid of somebody who could beat you, it's good.
Yeah, and to be fair, Nicole could have a second chance here to get rid of Cody. I think if Nicole wins the final HOH at Final 3 and Cody's still in the game, Nicole will cut Cody. Nicole as well realizes that Cody's going to win this game. And Nicole, I don't think, is going to be the Cody to Cody's Derek this season. It's awkward that Cody is one person in one season and the other person in the other. But I think this week really significantly enhanced Nicole's chances, because I think prior to this week, she's really got very little on her resume, like very little to show for her entire game, other than getting rid of Ian and making a couple people angry at her. But here she's got an HOH and a veto win, which is some comp wins that she desperately needs. Plus, she gets out a pretty big target here, Memphis, who has won an awful lot. And she is very happy to be the little Nicole who got out this big threat. I would say that, like, prior to this week, I thought it was maybe Cody, Enzo, Nicole, Christmas. Now I think we swap Enzo and Nicole, where I think Nicole would beat Enzo in a final 2.
I was about to say the same thing, where this week it really just, I think it made it probably even. Like, I'd go like tie for second kind of thing, where it's just a toss up between them. And before that, it was very clear Enzo would beat Nicole. So yeah, I mean, that's what you want. And now if you can get rid of Cody, you're right there.
Yeah, I'd say I'm probably 70-30 on Cody winning, the other 30 probably being Nicole. A couple of scenarios where our good friend Enzo wins, but that requires Christmas at the end, because Christmas is the only person I think Enzo can beat. But it could happen. It definitely could happen.
I just think the most dramatic ending is probably Nicole Enzo, because that could be very close. Other than that, it's probably not close, because Cody might, be unanimous depending who he goes against.
Cody is in fantastic shape. That's why they got to do something about that. But on the other hand, I've had some people. So there are two schools of thought, right? Because one, I want Cody to go out of the game, because that would be interesting. It's like watching Vanessa get booted at the last minute in Big Brother 17, or watching Paul get voted out at the last minute in Big Brother 19. It's just like something you didn't see coming, or something you maybe thought was possible. And it's like, they made the move I was waiting for all game long. And maybe we finally get that move and it's great and Nicole wins. And I mean, I don't know. I know a lot of people won't be happy if Nicole is the first 2-time winner of Big Brother, but she played a fairly decent game. If she's going to win, she played a good game. But on the other hand, it would suck if Cody lost here, because Cody has put in some serious work to win this $500,000. He's in such a good position all season long and to fall short at like the final second just because the wrong person won HOH, that would be a heartbreaker.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what I predicted. Actually, it is what I predicted in the last episode where Cody goes home final 3 just because he's so good. And yeah, you get that little burst of, like that was really cool. Like that was entertaining. But then you're also like, wait, I could have a Christmas Nicole finale, and that would just be the cherry on top of an already awful season. So as much as I don't really, I'm not a huge fan of Cody, he deserves this win. And for him to go final 3, I'd be disappointed, especially like if a Nicole wins because of that. And then just in a broader sense, if Nicole is the only 2-time winner, she's going to be talked about as the greatest Big Brother player ever. And is she even in the top 5, top 10?
Top 10, sure. I'd say maybe top 10 if she is in the top 5. I don't know. I have to like make the list.
If she wins twice, she has
somewhere
to be top
in
5.
there. She's somewhere in there. I don't know if she's top 5. But she could be close. She could be like 6 or 7. I don't know.
If she wins 2 times, she's top 5, top 3 probably. So
yeah,
I'm trying to respect the history of the game here, and Nicole winning, I don't want that.
Yeah, I think Cody. Even I would say Cody Calafiore's game here is stronger than Nicole's game, even if he doesn't wind up winning. But
and then honestly, like as much as I like Enzo, what has he done? Like he's funny and gets along with people. Great, you have a good social game and stuff, but like you've done nothing game wise, absolutely nothing. Him winning might even be worse than Nicole.
There's something about him that like I wanted him to like. I just wanted him to do well, and he was. I've been talking about. He's my pick to win the whole thing, and like the off spool. So I got like a lunch riding on this. So I want that to happen.
Well, I'll root for that, but he just feels like a guy who should have gone home like at 6 or something. He was like really entertaining, but like let's leave the finals for people actually playing,
Yeah. I on the other hand think that like this is like I viewed him as going all the way, but I viewed him as going all the way and actually doing something along the way. And
because he's always talking about it.
He talks an awful lot about doing something, that he doesn't do anything. Not that his do nothing game isn't like it's gotten him very far. And oftentimes when the decision has come, should I do A or should I not do anything? Not doing anything is usually the right answer for Enzo. But how are you going to win 500K that way? Like that's not, you got to wind up against Christmas. Like you just gotta find someone who's hated. And that's tough to do if you're playing a game where you're not winning everything.
Yeah, I'm totally with you.
All right. Anyway, that's I think that about wraps up this week. So our winners are either going to be Cody or the woman who hid in the pantry after locking down the veto nominations. Yeah. Those are your 2 winners. The jury didn't see that. The jury didn't see Nicole hiding from Memphis. So
so weird.
It's a great week for editing. A great week for editing. All right. So Lance, we've still got plenty to talk about here. We're going to take a quick break because I need to get a beverage. But we are going to talk about the Final 4. We have our Final 4 HOH winner. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the nominations. And we're going to talk about how the rest of this game is going to go because we are almost at the finish line. And we're going to do all of it right after this. Beverages are lovely, Lance. And we are back. And let's talk about the live feed spoilers here, Lance. We're going to spoil the Monday episode, I guess, of Big Brother because we are not on Sundays anymore. And we have our Final 4 HOH competition. Julie teased it heading into the break, but it is the classic Big Brother 6 competition that everyone was hoping would come back. Pressure cooker. Wait, no, the other one, Night Moves. It's the second best one from Big Brother 6. It is a legendary caser competition, and not a single person left in the game has any clue what it is.
Honestly, I like that though. They needed to stop doing the retread stuff because people are like, you can train for that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You can like think about it, like do something new or bring back something that is very old.
Yeah, we keep going back, like the seesaw pumpkin thing we've seen the competition where you've got chicken wire and you're trying to make eggs move. Right. Like we've seen a lot of Big Brother, like Bowlerina and BB Comics. like bring back some of the old stuff. Like this is good. This is good because this is just it's a classic competition. It's a super simple game that you can pick it up immediately, but it's very tough to master immediately. And we really only have 3 people playing here because, of course, Nicole ineligible to play in this Final Four competition. So we really have Cody, Enzo, and Christmas competing. And one of the interesting things about this competition, it's the kind of competition where you can gang up on somebody. And that's how Kaser played it in Big Brother 6. They ganged up on Maggie and that side of the house to guarantee that someone would go home on that side of the house. Here, we don't know exactly how it played out because we haven't seen it yet, but you'd have to think you got Enzo and Cody on one side, Christmas on the other. Christmas is probably in trouble here, right?
You'd think.
Right?
But I am interested just because it's strategy. And so there aren't a ton of strategic people left and everything. So, but you got to think that Christmas is in big, big trouble.
Yeah, I figured Cody would be pretty solid to win this because he's surprisingly smart for someone who tries to play up that he's not. Yeah. Which is, hey, that's good Big Brother playing right there.
He's not the smartest guy, but he's not as dumb as people think he is, and he does understand strategy.
Yes, yeah, there's a lot more to his. He may not know what people from Michigan are called, but he's savvy enough to know how to play a game. He's a coach, so he's playing games. Yeah, he knows that. But no, your Final Four winner here, Lance, believe it or not, is not Cody. It is Enzo. Enzo, the meow meow, or the mew mew, like kitten
mew
noises.
mew coming up clutch.
Yeah. Of course, Final Four HOH is one of the weakest positions in the game because all it really means is immunity moving forward into the following week. Because at Final Four, the veto is super crucial here. Right. And really, the veto is going to decide who goes home because the veto holder, unless Enzo wins the veto here, the veto holder is going to be the sole vote to evict this week, which kind of creates an interesting week. I think, first of all, it's interesting that Cody did not win HOH, which means that perhaps the most important day of Big Brother 22 is coming up on Saturday when they play the veto competition, because that could decide who wins $500,000. Because obviously if Cody wins, he's going to stick around. It looks like I would presume Christmas would go home. I think he'd keep Nicole. Who knows? Like maybe we would cut Nicole here and go forward with Christmas. But if Christmas wins this veto, and I think she's got a chance to, if Christmas wins the veto, Cody goes home here and the game changes dramatically. I think, and Enzo would keep the nomination. Like I said, the nominations don't really matter. It's going to be Christmas and Nicole together because we've seen Cody and Enzo talk about this fantasy that they have of going the entire game without either of them winding up on the block, and it comes true this week, unless you count the final 3 HOH. They have avoided the block all season, which is very impressive. It is very impressive.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's impressive, but it really feels like my prediction could come true, and you have to get rid of Cody. So that's the big thing.
Yeah, and I could see Nicole possibly doing it here as well. Maybe she wants to do it at Final 3, but maybe she wants to do it now. I think a lot of people realize that Cody's in a fantastic position to win the game, and it's either now or next. There are 2 shots left, and you can't let it go to the final one because Cody's got a great shot at winning that final 3 HOH. He won it in season 16. He won it and took Derek. Dumb move, but he won it last time. So don't think he can't win it again.
The one thing I'll be interested in is if Enzo wins, because what does Enzo do?
I think Enzo takes Cody.
I think so too.
That's the worst thing. I think he takes Cody and he makes the Cody mistake of taking the only person who is going to, Enzo probably would lose to anybody but Christmas, but it'd be a terrible mistake, and I think Enzo's ready to make it.
I think that's exactly what he'd do as well.
And I think he is the only person in the game willing to make that mistake, which is why Cody and him are so tight. Cody has a really good read on the game.
I hope if this happens, and that's the final two, and Cody wins 9-0, whatever it is, someone on Reddit does like a supercut of all the times that that Enzo says, "I'm gonna play the game, I'm gonna make big moves, the meow meows here." I hope somebody does like a 20-minute supercut of all of that throughout this, and him just not doing anything.
It's a it's a $50,000 game that guy's playing. Good for him.
I mean, it's a lot of feet picks right there.
That's right. It's at least it's wow. Think of how many people you could invite to Nicole's wedding with that kind of money.
I mean, his cameo for just his foot cameo is gonna be lit, man. It's gonna. He said, what was it, $50 a toe or whatever?
$50 a toe. It's pricey, but if you got the cash, you indulge.
Hey, don't underestimate the people with foot fetishes.
Mm-hmm. One more interesting item this week. It does look like we have a luxury competition coming up. I do not know exactly what the competition was. It looks like people were wearing their BB Comics cape and uniform after the fact. So we'll see if it makes its way on TV. They did this last year with Jackson and Nicole and all them. And it's like, all right, well. So someone you don't like is going to win $10,000. Should we spoil it here, Lance? Should we tell people who's going to win 10 grand?
Of course.
It's Nicole. Nicole gets 10 grand. So
you can uninvite three people now.
3 1/3 people. Yeah. 3 1/3 men coming to CBS this fall. So that I think that about wraps up this week. So we've got. I mean, it's all going to come down to the veto here. It is the most important veto of the season. And we could wrap up the season on Saturday. The entire season could be over. But there is still a decent amount of Big Brother to be played. It's getting interesting. It's finally getting interesting, Lance. We are finally here.
It is getting interesting, but it's however long into this. There's a week and a half left or whatever. And
we made it. We got it.
Interesting for one episode.
It's almost Halloween, but it's interesting. We finally got it. All right. Well, we're gonna keep following this interesting mess of a season all the way through to the finale night, and we hope you stick around with us here. And the best way to stick around with us here is to follow the Big Brother Brothers on your favorite podcasting app, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Podcasts, wherever you find good podcasts, you'll find ours. Also look for us on YouTube and Facebook, the video version, where you can see just how long-haired and ripped Lance is. Yep, there you go. It's gun show. Sun's out, guns out. So check that out if you would. Also, if you really like what you've seen, leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you, especially if you think we're worthy of 5 stars.
5 stars only.
You can just hit the thumbs up button or the or whatever. That's cool too. But please stick around. We got a couple shows left, and we're gonna run the season. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it, Lance. We're almost there.
Almost there.
Yeah,
almost there.
All right. So we'll see you all back here next week. I'll see you back here next week, Lance. Right?
That's right.
All right, and we'll see who's gonna make it to the final 3. We're almost there. All right. See you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.